The meeting room on Space Station Harmony fell silent as Commander Daniel Wright of Earth entered with his team. The circular chamber hosted representatives from 12 different species, all members of the Galactic Commonwealth. Humans had only joined this vast alliance of worlds 5 years ago, and they were still finding their place among stars. Daniel straightened his blue uniform and nodded to Science Officer Olivia Martinez, who walked beside him. They represented the Earth vessel Pathfinder, currently docked at the station. This was supposed to be a standard diplomatic mission to the Centauri system, negotiate mining rights, establish trade protocols, and strengthen Earth's position in the Commonwealth. Simple enough, or so they thought. The human delegation arrives 18 minutes late, announced High Commander Sis of the Zadar Imperium, his scaled skin reflecting the bright lights overhead. Precisely what we expect from primitive mammals. Daniel took a deep breath. The reptilian Zadar were known for their aggressive territorial expansion and dismissive attitude toward younger species. He'd been warned about them during the mission briefing. "We apologize for the delay," Daniel said calmly. "Our shuttle experienced technical difficulties during docking." Sis made a hissing sound that passed for laughter among his kind. "Technical difficulties. Yes. Perhaps in another 1,000 years your species will master basic space travel." The other delegates shifted uncomfortably. An elderly Andorian with blue skin and white hair caught Daniel's eye and subtly shook his head, as if warning him not to respond to the provocation. Olivia cleared her throat. "Commander, we should present our proposal about the shared development of the Centauri 9 planet." "Yes," Daniel said, activating the hologram projector. A detailed map of the contested planet appeared above the center table. Earth proposes a joint development initiative that would benefit multiple Commonwealth members while preserving the native ecosystem. For 30 minutes, Daniel and Olivia outlined their plan. They spoke of sustainable mining, respectful engagement with the planet's pre-industrial native species, and fair distribution of resources. Most delegates nodded with approval. Only the Zadar representatives looked bored and irritated. When the presentation ended, Sis stood up. He was nearly 7 feet tall, towering over the humans. "The Zadar find your proposal inadequate and naive," he said, pressing a button on his wrist device. The hologram changed to show massive mining facilities, covering the planet's surface. "This is efficiency, this is progress. The Zadar will begin implementation next solar cycle." "That would violate at least 6 Commonwealth treaties," Olivia pointed out, "and cause irreparable damage to the native ecosystem and culture." Sis leaned forward, his yellow eyes narrowing. "Treaties made by older species who have forgotten the necessities of growth. The Centauri system was Zadar territory long before humans learned to make fire." A Valerian delegate with 4 arms and silver skin interrupted. "That claim is historically inaccurate, High Commander. The archives clearly show the archives were written by the victors of old wars," Sis snapped. "The Zadar have decided. We will take what is ours." Daniel felt his patience wearing thin. This was typical Zadar behavior according to his briefings. Make outrageous claims, ignore treaties, and push until someone pushed back. Usually no one did. The Zadar controlled one of the largest military forces in this sector. "High Commander," Daniel said, his voice remaining level, "perhaps we could discuss a compromise that—" "There is nothing to discuss," Sis interrupted. "The Zadar do not compromise with lesser species, especially not with humans, who are barely more than talking animals. You should be grateful we allow you to sit at this table at all." The room went very quiet. Daniel felt something shift inside him. He had dealt with bullies before, both on Earth and among the stars. He knew when someone was testing boundaries. "Hi, Commander Sis," Daniel said, standing to his full height, which was still a foot shorter than the reptilian. "I believe we've been respectful and diplomatic, but I feel I should warn you that I'm getting seriously annoyed now." The reaction was immediate and unexpected. The Zadar guards at the door took a step back. The elderly Andorian diplomat gasped. A small Vexillian representative actually dove under the table. Even Sis seemed frozen for a moment, his yellow eyes widening slightly. Daniel glanced at Olivia, who looked as confused as he felt. Had he said something wrong? He had been careful to keep his tone professional. After several seconds of strange silence, Sis spoke again, but his tone had changed. Perhaps the Zodder could review the human proposal more thoroughly before making our final decision. The meeting concluded shortly after, with most delegates hurrying out of the room. Only the elderly Andorian, Ambassador Krell, remained behind, approaching Daniel with a concerned expression. "Commander Wright, a word in private, please." Daniel nodded to Olivia, who left them alone in the conference room. "Did I violate some protocol, Ambassador?" Daniel asked. Krell's antennae twitched nervously. "You really don't know, do you, what that phrase means to non-humans?" "What phrase?" "I'm getting seriously annoyed now," Krell whispered, as if the words themselves held power. "Commander, there are stories about humans who say those words. Stories that have spread throughout the Commonwealth in the short time your species has joined us." Daniel frowned. "Stories? About a common English phrase?" "Not just stories. There is evidence." Krell looked around nervously. The Galactic Historical Archives contain 23 documented incidents where humans uttered that specific phrase before performing extraordinary feats. "What kind of feats?" "The kind that make other species very, very nervous about annoying humans." Krell's blue hand trembled slightly. The first documented case was a cargo pilot named Jack Peterson. 20 years ago, before official first contact, his ship was captured by Vorn pirates. "I don't understand what this has to do with..." After hours of torture, Peterson said those exact words. Then he broke free and subdued 12 armed pirates. Alone. With injuries that should have made it impossible for him to stand. Daniel stared at the Andorian. "That sounds like an exaggeration." "Perhaps. But the Commonwealth has since classified humans as potentially unstable apex predators with abilities that manifest under specific stress conditions." Krell's antennae drooped. "Many species are cautious around humans for this reason." "That's ridiculous," Daniel said. "We're just people. People from a death world, Commander. Most Commonwealth species evolved on planets far less dangerous than Earth. They developed advanced technology before facing extinction-level threats. Humans evolved alongside predators and harsh conditions." Daniel shook his head. "I think you're making too much of this, Ambassador." "Perhaps. But be careful. With that phrase, Commander Wright, whether you believe it or not, it carries weight in the Commonwealth." Krell turned to leave, then added, "And if you want to know more, search the archives for information about Natalie Green and what happened on Station Epsilon 9. Some things must be seen to be believed." Daniel stood alone in the conference room, wondering if this was some kind of elaborate joke. But the fear he had seen in the eyes of the delegates seemed very real. In her quarters, Olivia Martinez was already searching the Commonwealth database for information about humans and stress responses. What she found made her blood run cold. Olivia Martinez stared at her screen in disbelief. The Commonwealth database contained dozens of reports about humans saying, "I'm getting seriously annoyed now," before doing impossible things. The most famous case was about a cargo pilot named Jack Peterson. 20 years ago, before Earth officially joined the Commonwealth, Peterson's small transport ship was captured by Vorn pirates. The database included security footage from the pirate vessel. Olivia watched as Peterson, an ordinary-looking man with brown hair, was tied to a chair. 3 Vorn pirates surrounded him, demanding access codes to Earth defense systems. "For the last time, I don't have any military codes. I'm just a cargo pilot," Peterson said on the recording. One of the pirates struck him across the face. Peterson spat blood onto the floor. "I think," Peterson said slowly, "I'm getting seriously annoyed now." What happened next made Olivia gasp. Peterson moved with impossible speed. The restraints that held him snapped like paper. Within 30 seconds, all 3 armed pirates lay unconscious on the floor. Peterson showed strength and speed no human should possess, especially after hours of torture. The Commonwealth analysis noted that Peterson's heart rate, visible on the pirate ship's bioscanners, had actually decreased during the incident. His movements showed evidence of enhanced muscle coordination and heightened reflexes. After subduing 12 pirates total and taking control of their ship, Peterson claimed to remember very little of what happened. Olivia found case after case with the same pattern. A human under stress would say those words, then perform feats of strength, speed, or endurance that defied explanation. The door chimed, interrupting her research. "Enter," she called. Commander Daniel Wright walked in, looking troubled. "Did you find anything about this phrase business?" "Yes. And it's strange," Olivia replied. "Come look at this." She showed him footage of a woman named Natalie Green on Aiken Space Station Epsilon 9. Green had been a maintenance worker when terrorists seized control of the station. The footage showed her hiding in a ventilation shaft as armed attackers passed below. "I'm getting seriously annoyed now," Green whispered, in the recording. Then she dropped down and moved through the terrorists with a grace that seemed almost supernatural. 17 armed attackers were neutralized in less than 5 minutes. "This can't be real," Daniel said, shaking his head. "These must be edited." "The Commonwealth has certified these recordings as authentic," Olivia replied. "And there's more. Commonwealth scientists have studied humans extensively since first contact. They've classified us as potentially unstable apex predators with unique stress responses." Daniel pulled up a chair. "Explain." "Most advanced species in the Commonwealth evolved on safer worlds than Earth. They developed technology to overcome natural threats. Humans evolved alongside predators in harsh environments. Our bodies developed multiple survival mechanisms." Olivia pulled up a diagram of human biology. "According to Commonwealth research, humans have latent abilities that activate under extreme stress. That phrase seems to trigger something specific, a neurochemical cascade that temporarily enhances strength, speed, and mental processing." "But why that specific phrase?" Daniel asked. "It's not the words themselves. It's the psychological state they represent. Humans have multiple stress responses. First comes the social response. We try to talk our way out of danger. Then comes fight or flight, adrenaline, increased heart rate, fear. But there's a third state that's rare among galactic species." She displayed brain scan comparisons between humans and other Commonwealth races. "When humans move beyond fear to a state of focused anger, our bodies can enter what Commonwealth scientists call controlled combat efficiency. Heart rate decreases, mental clarity increases, and physical capabilities enhance." Daniel looked skeptical. "You're saying humans become temporarily superhuman when they get annoyed enough?" "Not exactly. The Commonwealth theory suggests that all humans have this potential, but most never access it. The phrase seems to help people cross that mental threshold." Olivia paused. "There's more. The Commonwealth has been subtly manipulating humans to prevent us from fully understanding this ability." Daniel's expression darkened. "Why would they do that?" "Fear. A report from the Galactic Security Council describes humans as the only species capable of rapidly upgrading their threat level during conflict. They're afraid of what would happen if humans learned to control this ability." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the bridge of the Pathfinder. "Commander, we've detected Zadar ships leaving the station at high speed," reported Lieutenant Alan Foster. "They appear to be heading toward the scientific outpost on Centauri 9. Daniel and Olivia rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed 3 Zadar cruisers moving away from Space Station Harmony. "Open a channel to High Commander Sis," Daniel ordered. Sis appeared on screen, looking smug. "Commander Wright, your diplomatic efforts were entertaining but ultimately futile. The Zadar are claiming what is rightfully ours." "You're violating Commonwealth law," Daniel said. "Return to the station immediately." "The Zadar do not take orders from humans," Sis replied. "However, we have taken something else from you." The camera shifted to show a holding cell containing several scientists. Among them was Dr. Kate Miller, the lead researcher at the Centauri 9 outpost. She had been attending the diplomatic summit. "We have also seized your science team who were studying our planet," Sis continued. "They will be well treated if you stay out of our way." "Those are Commonwealth citizens," Daniel said, his voice hard. "Release them immediately." Or what? Human? Will you get seriously annoyed? Sis made a hissing sound that might have been laughter. Your reputation is based on myths and exaggerations. The Zadar are not afraid of human fairy tales. The transmission ended. Daniel turned to his crew. Set course for Centauri 9 maximum speed. Alert Commonwealth Security Command about the hostage situation. As the Pathfinder pulled away from the station, Communications Officer Andy Sullivan approached Daniel. Commander, I've been researching why the Zadar seem especially dismissive of the human reputation. I found something interesting in their cultural database. He displayed an incident report on his tablet. 2 years earlier, a Zadar raiding party had boarded a small Earth research vessel. The only crew member aboard was an engineer named Frank Nelson. After the Zadar threatened to destroy his ship, Nelson reportedly said, "I'm getting seriously annoyed now," before disabling 7 armed Zadar warriors. The Zadar military classified this as a fluke, Sullivan explained. They believe their warriors were simply unprepared. High Commander Sis personally declared that humans posed no special threat. So this is personal for Sis, Daniel said. He needs to prove the Zadar shouldn't fear humans. Olivia frowned, which makes this even more dangerous. He'll be looking to make an example of us. On the main screen, the 3 Zadar cruisers grew more distant. Each was 4 times the size of the Pathfinder, heavily armed and shielded. Options? Daniel asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Paulo Rodriguez looked grim. We're outgunned, Commander. Even with our best strategies, we can't take on 3 Zadar cruisers directly. Daniel stared at the screen, thinking. Then we don't fight them directly. Olivia, what do we know about Zadar ship security? They're confident to the point of arrogance, she replied. Their internal security is less robust than their external defenses. They rarely expect enemies to get past their shields. A plan began to form in Daniel's mind. Then that's our way in. We'll need a small team to board the main cruiser and rescue the hostages. That's extremely risky, Commander, Rodriguez warned. Yes, Daniel agreed. But sometimes you need to take risks to protect your people. He turned to his crew. Prepare for combat operations, and hope that no one needs to get seriously annoyed. The Pathfinder moved silently through space, trailing the 3 larger Zadar ships at a safe distance. On the bridge, Commander Daniel Wright studied the tactical display showing their target, the largest Zadar vessel where the hostages were being held. Their shields are too strong for a direct assault, Lieutenant Paulo Rodriguez reported. And they have us outgunned 3-1. Daniel nodded. Then we stick to the plan. A small team boards their ship while their attention is elsewhere. He turned to Olivia Martinez. You know the most about Zadar ship layouts. I want you on the insertion team. Yes, Commander, she replied. Daniel selected 2 more crew members for the mission, Security Chief Greg Howard and Engineer Susan Kim. All 4 of them gathered in the shuttle bay to prepare. The plan is simple, Daniel explained as they checked their equipment. We'll use the shuttle's stealth systems to approach during their shift change when their sensor coverage is weakest. Once aboard, we locate the hostages, free them, and bring them back to the shuttle. And if we meet resistance, Greg asked, checking his stun weapon. We avoid combat when possible, Daniel said firmly. This is a rescue mission, not an attack. Susan looked nervous. Commander, I've been thinking about what we learned about that phrase. Should we try to use it? Daniel shook his head. We can't rely on myths and legends. We stick to our training and work as a team. They boarded the shuttle, a small craft built for stealth rather than combat. As they prepared for launch, Communications Officer Andy Sullivan contacted them from the bridge. Commander, we've intercepted a transmission from the Zadar ships. They're planning to make an example of the hostages once they reach their destination. They'll arrive at Centauri 9 in 3 hours. Daniel's expression hardened. Then we move now. Launch shuttle. The small craft slipped away from the Pathfinder, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Susan piloted the shuttle expertly, keeping them in the sensor shadow of a nearby asteroid field. As they approached the largest Zadar cruiser, they saw their opportunity. The ship was rotating to realign its sensors, creating a brief blind spot. Now, Daniel ordered. Susan guided the shuttle into the blind spot and alongside the Zadar ship's hull. With practiced precision, she aligned their airlock with a maintenance hatch on the larger vessel. Docking complete, she reported. We have a secure seal. The team moved through the airlock and into the dimly lit maintenance tunnel of the Zadar ship. The air was hot and humid, matching the reptilian Zadar's preferred environment. Olivia consulted her tablet. According to the ship schematics, holding cells would be 3 levels down. They moved cautiously through the ship, avoiding Zadar. Patrols when possible. When they couldn't avoid detection, Greg used his stun weapon to silently incapacitate the guards. After 20 tense minutes, they reached the detention level. 2 heavily armed Zadar guards stood outside a secured door. That must be where they're holding the hostages, Daniel whispered. Before they could form a plan, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Alert! Human intruders detected on level 4. All security personnel report to stations. They've spotted us, Greg said. We need to move fast. Daniel nodded. Greg, Susan, create a diversion. Olivia and I will free the hostages. Greg and Susan moved away, intentionally making noise to draw guards away from the detention area. When several guards rushed after them, Daniel and Olivia made their move. The 2 remaining guards were no match for their surprise attack. Daniel and Olivia stunned them quickly and used their access cards to open the cell door. Inside were 5 Commonwealth scientists, including Dr. Kate Miller. They looked scared, but unharmed. Commander Wright, Kate said with relief. We knew someone would come. Can everyone walk? Daniel asked. They all nodded. Good. Stay close and move quickly. Our shuttle is waiting, but we need to get there before they lock down the ship. The group moved back the way Daniel and Olivia had come, but their progress was slower with the scientists. As they reached a junction, they heard Greg's voice over the communicator. Commander, we've been cut off. There are too many guards between us and the shuttle. Daniel's mind raced. Find another way around. We'll meet you there. Understood. But Commander, they're moving in your direction too. At least 20 guards. Just as Greg finished speaking, a door ahead of them slid open. High Commander Sis himself stepped through, flanked by 10 armed warriors. Commander Wright, Sis said, showing his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. Your rescue attempt was predictable and futile. Daniel pushed the scientists behind him, putting himself between them and the Zadar. This doesn't need to end in violence, Sis. These people are innocent researchers. Let them go, and we can discuss the Centauri 9 situation reasonably. Sis made that hissing laugh again. Always talking. That is the human way, is it not? Talk until you get what you want. He raised his weapon. The Zadar prefer action. Daniel saw more guards approaching from behind. They were surrounded. Lower. Your weapons and surrender, Sis demanded. Or we will be forced to demonstrate Zadar superiority in a more permanent fashion. Daniel glanced at Olivia, then at the frightened scientists. He had brought his team into this situation. He was responsible for their safety. Now they were trapped with no clear way out. Something shifted in Daniel's mind. A calm clarity replaced his worry. His heartbeat slowed. The world around him seemed to move more slowly. Hi, Commander, Daniel said quietly. I'm getting seriously annoyed now. An odd silence fell over the Zadar warriors. Several took involuntary steps backward. Even Sis looked momentarily uncertain. What happened next was remembered differently by everyone present. The scientists would later report that Commander Wright moved too fast to follow, disarming 3 guards before anyone could react. Olivia saw Daniel move with impossible precision, each action flowing perfectly into the next, as if he had rehearsed this exact scenario 100 times. The Zadar guards described a human who seemed to predict their every move, always a step ahead, impossible to hit. Daniel himself would remember only fragments, the weight of a weapon, in his hand the feeling of perfect clarity, knowing exactly what needed to be done and how to do it. In less than a minute, all 10 guards were unconscious on the floor. Only Sis remained standing, his weapon now in Daniel's hand. Impossible, Sis whispered, backing away. The stories were true. Daniel stepped forward. The hostages are leaving with us. You will order your ships to withdraw from Centauri 9 immediately. Or what? Human? Sis asked, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Daniel looked him directly in the eyes, or I might get really annoyed. 5 minutes later, Daniel led the hostages and his team back to the shuttle. No Zadar warrior attempted to stop them. In fact, the corridors were strangely empty. As they undocked from the Zadar ship, Olivia looked at Daniel with a mixture of awe and concern. What happened back there? She asked quietly. Daniel shook his head. I'm not entirely sure. It was like everything slowed down and became clear. I just knew what to do. Do you think it's what we read about? The special human response? Daniel stared out at the stars as the shuttle headed back to the Pathfinder. Maybe. Or maybe the Zadar just weren't as tough as they thought. But he didn't sound convinced by his own words. As they docked with the Pathfinder, they received news that all 3 Zadar ships were withdrawing from Centauri space. The legend of another human saying those fateful words was already spreading throughout the Commonwealth. News of what happened on the Zadar ship spread quickly. By the time the Pathfinder returned to Earth, Commander Daniel Wright and his team were ordered to report to the Earth Commonwealth Embassy in Geneva. I still don't understand why we're being questioned, Daniel said as he and Olivia Martinez waited in a conference room. We rescued the hostages without casualties. The mission was a success. It's not about the rescue, Olivia replied. It's about what you did on that ship. How you did it. Before Daniel could respond, the door opened. Admiral Laura Bennett entered, followed by an alien Daniel recognized as a Medusan scientist. Medusans were known for their logical minds and research abilities. Commander Wright, Lieutenant Martinez, Admiral Bennett said. This is Dr. Vell, head of the Xenobiology Research Institute. Dr. Vell had gray skin and large dark eyes. He studied Daniel with open curiosity. Commander Wright, Dr. Vell said, your encounter with the Zadar has created quite a stir in the Commonwealth. I was just doing my job, Daniel replied. By disabling 10 armed Zadar warriors in under 60 seconds? Admiral Bennett asked. That's well beyond normal human capabilities, Commander. Dr. Vell activated a holographic display showing security footage from the Zadar ship. Daniel watched himself move with impossible speed and precision against the Zadar guards. Is this recording accurate? Dr. Vell asked. Daniel stared at the footage. That's not how I remember it. Everything just felt clear, focused. Interesting, Dr. Vell said. This matches other documented cases we've studied. The human doesn't experience time distortion, but observers perceive greatly enhanced speed and reflexes. Admiral Bennett looked troubled. The Commonwealth Council has called an emergency meeting. Some species are concerned about this human ability. Concerned? Olivia asked. We just rescued innocent people from illegal detention. Yes, but how you did it has raised questions, Dr. Vell explained. Humans are the only known species with this ability to upgrade their capabilities during conflict. Daniel crossed his arms. I think you're making too much of this. We were trained for rescue operations. Dr. Vell shook his head. No training explains what we observed, Commander. May I explain our current scientific understanding? Admiral Bennett nodded and Dr. Vell continued. Most intelligent species in the galaxy evolved in relatively stable environments. They developed technology to overcome natural threats. Humans evolved on a planet with large predators, extreme climate shifts, and constant survival pressures. Dr. Vell changed the display to show human physiology. You developed multiple survival mechanisms. Most species have a simple fight-or-flight response. Humans have a more complex system. Under certain stress conditions, your bodies can enter what we call controlled combat efficiency. The display showed brain scans. When a human moves beyond fear to a state of focused determination, often verbalized as getting annoyed, several things happen. Heart rate decreases instead of increasing. Mental clarity improves. Time perception alters. Physical capabilities enhance. Olivia leaned forward. Are you saying all humans can do what Commander Wright did? Potentially, yes, Dr. Vell replied. though most never access this state. It requires a specific mental trigger, accepting the possibility of defeat while simultaneously refusing to accept it. That doesn't make sense, Daniel said. Human psychology often doesn't make sense to other species, Dr. Vell said. Your capacity for contradictory thinking is unique. The phrase, "I'm getting seriously annoyed now," seems to help humans cross that mental threshold. Admiral Bennett spoke up. The Commonwealth has been aware of this human trait since our first unofficial contacts. It's one reason some species were hesitant to welcome Earth into the Alliance. They're afraid of us? Daniel asked, surprised. With good reason, Dr. Vell said. Most species reach their physical and mental limits under stress. Humans become more dangerous. From an evolutionary perspective, it's a remarkable adaptation. The Admiral looked grim. Several Commonwealth species have proposed restrictions on humans in sensitive positions. The Zadar are demanding your detention, Commander Wright. That's ridiculous, Olivia protested. They took hostages. We rescued them. The politics are complex, Admiral Bennett said. Some believe humans should be classified as a restricted development species until we better understand these abilities. Daniel stood up, anger rising. So we rescue innocent people and now they want to restrict all humans because we're too good at protecting ourselves? It's fear, Commander, Dr. Vell said calmly. Many species fear what they don't understand. Before their discussion could continue, an emergency alert sounded. Admiral Bennett checked her communication device. We have to cut this short. There's a situation at the Commonwealth Council chambers. The four of them hurried to the main communications center. On the large screen, they saw chaos unfolding at the Galactic Council headquarters on Station Alpha Prime. What's happening? Daniel asked. Unknown ships have breached Commonwealth space, an officer reported. They attacked without warning or communication. Council security forces are overwhelmed. The screen showed strange black ships with organic-looking designs. Energy beams tore through Commonwealth defenses like they weren't there. The Void Collective, Dr. Vell whispered, his gray skin paling further. They were thought to be extinct for 10,000 years. Who are they? Olivia asked. A hive mind species that once nearly conquered the galaxy, Dr. Vell explained. They were defeated by an alliance of ancient species, most of whom are now gone. As they watched, Commonwealth ships attempted to fight back but were quickly destroyed. The council chambers were breached, and several council members were taken captive. They're not killing the council members, Admiral Bennett observed. They're capturing them to absorb their knowledge, Dr. Vell said. The Void Collective grows stronger by assimilating other intelligent beings. The situation looked hopeless. Commonwealth forces were scattered and unprepared for this threat. The few ships defending Alpha Prime were being systematically destroyed. We need to help them, Daniel said. Admiral Bennett shook her head. What could we possibly do against an enemy that powerful? Daniel watched the screen, seeing the fear and panic. The same council that had been debating whether humans were too dangerous was now facing a truly dangerous enemy. Admiral, Daniel said, his voice firm, Earth has the newest ships in the Commonwealth fleet. Our vessels were designed with different technology, different thinking. You're suggesting we send human ships against this ancient threat? Dr. Vell asked. Even with your abilities, the technological gap is immense. Maybe, Daniel agreed. But humans have another unique trait. We don't give up, especially when protecting others. Admiral Bennett studied him carefully. What are you proposing, Commander? Give me a small team of human ships. Let us try a different approach. The Void Collective expects resistance from Commonwealth forces, but they've never encountered humans before. And if you fail? Dr. Vell asked. Then at least we tried, Daniel replied. But I think we might surprise them. After all, they've never dealt with seriously annoyed humans. After a brief discussion with Earth Command, Admiral Bennett gave her approval. The Pathfinder and 5 other human vessels were ordered to Alpha Prime at maximum speed. As Daniel prepared to return to his ship, Dr. Vell approached him. Commander, there's something else you should know about human abilities. Our research suggests they're stronger when protecting others than when protecting yourselves. Perhaps that's another adaptation from your evolutionary past. Daniel nodded. That doesn't surprise me, Doctor. Humans have always been at our best when standing up for someone else. As he left to rejoin his crew, Daniel wondered if humanity was about to discover just how far their unique abilities could take them. The 6 human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Alpha Prime. The scene before them was grim. The space around the Commonwealth Council station was filled with debris from destroyed ships. 5 large black vessels surrounded the station, their organic-looking hulls absorbing all light that touched them. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, Commander Daniel Wright studied the tactical display. Those ships are unlike anything in Commonwealth records, Olivia Martinez reported. Their hulls seem to adapt to different weapon frequencies. Daniel nodded. That explains why the Commonwealth defenses failed. Standard tactics won't work here. Lieutenant Paula Rodriguez looked worried. Commander, we're being scanned by the alien vessels. Open a channel to our other ships, Daniel ordered. I want all captains on screen. 5 faces appeared on the main display. All human, all looking to Daniel. For direction, this is what we know, Daniel began. These ships belong to the Void Collective, a hive mind species thought extinct for 10,000 years. They've taken the Commonwealth Council hostage. Their technology is far beyond ours, and conventional weapons have proven ineffective. So, what's the plan? Asked Captain Nick Howard of the Horizon. We do what humans do best, Daniel replied. We adapt. We think differently. The Void Collective expects enemies to behave like the Commonwealth races they've already defeated. We won't. He outlined his strategy. It was risky, unconventional, and relied on human unpredictability. When he finished, the other captains nodded in agreement. One more thing, Daniel added. If any of you feel the need to get seriously annoyed during this mission, don't fight it. The human fleet split into 3 groups. 2 ships created a distraction, attacking one of the Void vessels directly. 2 more circled around to approach the station from the far side. The Pathfinder and the Horizon moved into position near a debris field, powering down to avoid detection. As planned, the distraction worked. 2 Void ships moved to intercept the attacking human vessels. Now, Daniel ordered. The Pathfinder and Horizon powered up suddenly and accelerated toward the station at maximum speed. The debris field around them exploded outward, the result of hidden charges placed earlier. The cloud of metal fragments created sensor interference, briefly hiding the 2 human ships. Station airlock in sight, Olivia reported. Boarding teams ready. The 2 ships docked with Alpha Prime simultaneously, at different airlocks. Boarding teams poured out, led by Daniel on the Pathfinder side and Captain Howard on the Horizon side. Inside the station, chaos reigned. The Void Collective forces were humanoid, but clearly not human. They had gray skin that seemed to shift and change patterns. Their eyes were solid black and they moved with unnatural coordination. Daniel led his team through the corridors, fighting their way toward the council chambers. The Void soldiers were strong and seemed to communicate without speaking, but they were unprepared for human combat tactics. They're adapting to our weapons, Greg Howard reported as his stun beam became less effective with each shot. Switch to physical tactics, Daniel ordered. The human teams abandoned their energy weapons and fought hand-to-hand. This seemed to confuse the Void soldiers, who had clearly expected a technology-based defense. As they neared the council chambers, resistance grew fiercer. Daniel's team was pinned down in a wide corridor by a group of Void soldiers using some kind of energy shield. We need to break through, Daniel said, but that shield is blocking everything we throw at it. Olivia studied her scanner. The shield has a pattern. It's responding to our attacks, but it has to reset every 30 seconds. Daniel nodded. We need to time our move perfectly. As they prepared to rush the shield during its reset, more Void soldiers appeared behind them. They were trapped. Daniel felt that familiar clarity settling over him again. His heart rate slowed. His senses sharpened. He looked at his team, brave humans fighting against impossible odds to save others. I'm getting seriously annoyed now, he said quietly. The team moved with perfect coordination, as if they could read each other's minds. When the shield reset, they broke through in exactly the right spot. Void soldiers fell before them, unable to predict or counter the humans' movements. They reached the council chambers to find the Void collective leader. It was larger than the others, its skin shifting through complex patterns. Around it, the Commonwealth Council members were held in some kind of stasis field. "Humans," the Void leader spoke, its voice oddly musical. "You are not like the others. Your minds are individual yet connected." "Interesting." "Release the council," Daniel demanded. "We require their knowledge," the leader replied. "As we will. Require yours." The collective grows through absorption. Daniel noticed Captain Howard's team entering from another door. They were in position. "You've never encountered humans before," Daniel said, keeping the leader's attention. "We're different from the species you knew in the past." "All biological life follows patterns," the leader said dismissively. "Your resistance is temporary." Daniel smiled. "That's where you're wrong. Humans specialize in breaking patterns." At his signal, both teams threw small devices toward the stasis field generators. These weren't weapons but communication devices, broadcasting on all frequencies simultaneously. The chaotic signal disrupted the precise patterns of the Void technology. The stasis fields flickered and died. The council members fell to the floor, free but weakened. The Void leader's skin patterns became erratic. "What have you done? The harmony is disrupted." Daniel stepped forward. "That's humanity's gift to the galaxy. We disrupt. We change things. We break patterns when they need breaking." Outside, the human ships were using similar tactics against the Void vessels, broadcasting chaotic signals that disrupted their coordination. Without their perfect harmony, the Void collective's advantage failed. The leader stared at Daniel. "You are not stronger than us, not wiser, not more advanced. How can you prevail?" "Because we don't fight alone, and we don't fight just for ourselves," Daniel replied. "Humans protect others. It's what we do best." As Commonwealth security forces arrived to secure the chamber, Admiral Bennett and Dr. Vell rushed in. "Commander, right?" the Admiral said, looking around in amazement. "How did you defeat them?" "We use their strength against them," Daniel explained. "The Void collective relies on perfect patterns and harmony. Humans are messy, unpredictable. We broke their patterns." Dr. Vell nodded slowly. "It wasn't your special ability that saved us. It was your humanity itself." In the days that followed, the remaining Void ships retreated from Commonwealth space. The threat wasn't eliminated, but it had been driven back. At a special council meeting, the question of human restrictions was raised again. This time, the debate took a different tone. "Humans do not need to be restricted," the Andorian representative argued. "They need to be understood. Today they saved us all, not because they are dangerous, but because they think differently." New protocols were established for working with humans. Chief among them was a simple diplomatic rule that spread across the galaxy. If a human says, "They're getting annoyed," listen carefully to what follows. On the observation deck of the Pathfinder, Daniel stood with Olivia, watching the stars. "Do you think they understand us now?" Olivia asked. Daniel smiled. "Not completely, but they're starting to see that being different isn't something to fear. It's something to value." "And the phrase? Will it still work now that we know about it?" "I think so," Daniel replied. "Because it was never about the words. It was about finding that place inside where we're at our best. Focused, clear, determined to protect what matters." As the Pathfinder prepared to return to Earth, the legend spread through the Commonwealth. When danger threatens, hope for a human who's getting seriously annoyed.